Everyone wants the blessing, but not everyone survives the process that comes before it. You say you want wealth, success, and influence, but do you understand what it costs? Do you understand the test required to carry it without collapsing under its weight? God does not pour gold into hands that have not first been tested by fire. He does not grant elevation to a soul that cannot yet stand firm in the valley. Before the reward, there must be refinement. Before the breakthrough, there is almost always a breaking. And if you do not understand that the test is part of the journey, you will misread every challenge as a sign to quit, when in truth it is a sign that you are getting closer. This is not about religion. This is about alignment. This is about the sacred process that strips away what is weak so that what is strong can rise. Before God gives you more, He will always examine what you do with less. He will allow delays, rejections, isolation, and silence, not to push you away, but to purify what's inside you. You are not waiting on the blessing. The blessing is waiting on you to become the kind of person who can handle it. Because what you're praying for will crush you if it arrives before you're ready. It will overwhelm you if you haven't first mastered the inner world you're building it on. The test is divine. The process is necessary. You don't get to skip it. You don't get to shortcut your way into real success. You will be tested for discipline, patience, integrity, and focus. You will be asked to grow in silence, to trust in lack, to lead yourself when no one else believes in you. And if you pass, if you endure, if you stay faithful, if you keep moving despite the weight of delay, then and only then does the blessing arrive. Not because you begged for it, but because you became someone who could carry it without breaking. Wealth never arrives by accident. It is never given freely to those who merely wish for it. Instead, it is granted to those who have proven they can handle it. Before you are ever trusted with more, you are tested with less. Before abundance comes, you must pass through seasons of emptiness. And those seasons are not meant to destroy you. They are designed to develop you. God never gives anything of great value without first refining the vessel that will hold it. You are that vessel. You are being shaped, forged, and purified before divine increase is allowed into your life. Every desire for success is heard. Every prayer is received. But it is not your words that determine your readiness. It is your response to hardship. God does not test through ease. He tests through resistance. He observes how you act when nothing is working, when doors stay shut, when support disappears. In these moments, your character is revealed. Do you crumble under pressure, or do you rise despite it? Do you remain faithful when there's no evidence that your prayers are working? The answers to these questions are what determine whether you're being delayed or being disqualified. Because tests are not to be taken lightly, they are the proving grounds of destiny. There is a divine pattern, a spiritual law that repeats throughout history. Before promotion, there must be preparation. Before the crown, the cross. Before elevation, isolation. You don't just walk into wealth, you grow into it. And growth is uncomfortable. It will stretch your patience, discipline your impulses, and break your pride. It will force you to examine your motives, your habits, and your beliefs. If you're praying for wealth but still operating with poverty thinking, you are not yet aligned with the blessing you seek. God cannot give you what your mind will sabotage. And so the test continues, not to punish, but to protect, not to break you, but to build the strength required to carry what you're asking for. The test is not random. It is sacred. It is evidence that something is being prepared for you, and more importantly, that you are being prepared for it. But if you skip the process, you forfeit the promise, because blessings given too soon become burdens. A man who receives wealth before he is ready will destroy himself with it. That is why God delays, not because he is withholding, but because he is wise. He knows what you don't. That wealth can only be sustained by someone who has been shaped by fire. That abundance can only rest on a foundation strong enough to carry it without crumbling. So if you are being tested, understand this. It is not a sign that God has forgotten you. It is a sign that he remembers what he promised you. And he is ensuring that when it comes, you'll be able to handle it. Every struggle, every delay, every detour, it is preparing you for the weight of what is coming. But only if you endure it with faith. Only if you stay rooted in purpose, not pride. Only if you see the test for what it truly is, the doorway through which your next level must pass. The deepest tests are never loud. They do not announce themselves. They show up in the quiet moments of life, when you're alone, when no one is clapping, when no one is watching. This is when your truth is measured. It's easy to act strong when people are praising you. It's easy to stay focused when results are visible. But what do you do in the silence? What decisions do you make when the spotlight is off and the applause is gone? That is where the real test begins. God examines the inner world before elevating you in the outer world. He watches how you think, how you speak, how you carry yourself in the delay, in the darkness, in the wilderness. Silence is not the absence of progress. It is the environment of refinement. You're not being ignored, you're being observed. In the silence, distractions are stripped away. In the silence, motives become clear. And in the silence, discipline is either born or broken. Can you still believe when there's no evidence? Can you stay committed when there's no validation? These are the questions life asks when you're being silently tested. And most people fail not because they're weak, but because they interpret silence as rejection. They walk away when they should be staying the course. They curse the process when they should be learning from it. The greatest moves of God are often wrapped in seasons of stillness. There is no fanfare, no flashing signs, just a quiet voice asking, will you still trust me? If your faith depends on visible results, then your foundation is shallow. But if your faith is grounded in principle, in vision, and in purpose, then silence cannot move you. It only strengthens you. This is how you are judged, not by what you say in the light, but by what you do in the dark. Pass the silent test, and you will prove that you are not driven by emotion, but anchored in conviction. And that is the kind of person who can carry the weight of wealth without losing themselves. Patience is not passive. It is one of the most aggressive forms of faith you will ever practice. To wait without complaining, to stand firm when nothing is happening, to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. That is real strength. When your heart desires something deeply, and yet you're asked to wait, it can feel like punishment. But it's not. It's a purification. God delays to prepare, not to deny. He stretches time to stretch you. Because what you're asking for isn't just about receiving, it's about becoming. If you're not becoming the kind of person who can sustain the blessing, then the blessing will become your burden. The impatient mind wants results without refinement. It wants success without self-control. It wants now, even if now would destroy it. But divine timing doesn't obey your urgency. It obeys your readiness. Time is a test. How you wait reveals everything about your character. Do you become bitter or do you become better? Do you stay consistent or do you sabotage your progress out of frustration? Many people fail the test not because they lack the potential, but because they lack the patience to see it through. They dig up what they planted because the harvest didn't come fast enough. But what they didn't realize is that the seed was growing roots first, not fruit. Every second of delay is doing something sacred. It's allowing you to gain the wisdom, the emotional control, the humility, and the resilience needed to keep what you're asking for. Because anyone can receive wealth, but only a refined soul can keep it without being destroyed by it. So when you're waiting, don't just count the days. Make the days count. Use the silence to sharpen your habits. Use the delay to strengthen your mindset. Because the moment you begin to see patience not as a pause, but as a process, you begin to unlock the part of you that is worthy of wealth. And that's what God is truly waiting for. Not your timeline, but your transformation. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. You can dream of wealth all day, you can pray for it every night, but without discipline, those dreams rot in the soil of inaction. God doesn't just test your passion, He tests your patterns. He watches how you show up in the small things. Are you consistent when there's no audience? Do you still work when no one is applauding? Because the truth is, you don't rise to the level of your ambition, you fall to the level of your habits. And until those habits reflect responsibility, structure, and order, you're not ready to receive more. Discipline is not about intensity. It's about consistency. It's not doing something great once. It's doing the right things daily, even when you don't feel like it. God tests you by placing you in situations where the only thing keeping you going is your ability to govern yourself. When no one is telling you what to do, will you still do what's necessary? When the reward isn't instant, will you still show up? Most people are enslaved by their emotions. They act based on mood, not on mission. But wealth doesn't respond to feelings. It responds to systems, routines, and mental order. And God will not bless chaos with increase. Every great elevation requires a disciplined foundation. Because when the pressure rises, it's not talent that saves you, it's structure. It's what you built in the shadows. The early mornings you didn't want, the late nights you didn't skip, the distractions you overcame, those become your spiritual proof. They show that you're not just wishing, you're willing. That you're not just dreaming, you're doing. And that is the kind of person wealth gravitates toward. Not the loudest, not the flashiest, but the most prepared. Discipline is preparation in motion. It is the daily act of proving to God and to yourself that you are ready not just to receive the blessing, but to sustain it. Integrity is the silent currency of wealth. It is not measured by what you show the world, but by the choices you make when no one can see. Before wealth is released into your life, you will be presented with opportunities to compromise your values. And these are not random temptations, they are divine audits. Will you lie to get ahead? Will you manipulate for short-term gain? Will you cut corners and justify it because everyone else is doing it? These moments are not small. They are the very tests that determine whether you are qualified to carry real abundance. Because anything you gain by deception will eventually collapse under the weight of truth. You cannot build lasting wealth on a cracked foundation. God will always test your integrity before He trusts you with influence, not because He needs your perfection, but because He needs your alignment. If your words don't match your actions, you are disqualified. If your public image is polished, but your private life is polluted, you are not yet ready. The world may reward cleverness, but heaven honors character. The fastest route to destruction is to chase success faster than your integrity can carry. Many people rise quickly but fall even faster, not because they lack vision, but because they lack values. The true test comes when breaking your principles seems like the easier option. When being honest costs you something. When walking away from a deal because it doesn't feel right leaves you empty-handed. That is when your soul is weighed. And those who stand firm in those moments, those who choose principle over profit, are the ones who are being prepared for something far greater. Because integrity may delay the blessing, but it guarantees you'll be able to keep it once it comes. What you compromise to get, you will eventually lose. But what you earn through character becomes yours to steward, not just for a season, but for a lifetime. God isn't just preparing to bless you, He's preparing to trust you. And that trust is built on nothing less than integrity. Responsibility is the gateway to elevation. You may be asking for more, but the real question is, what are you doing with what you already have? Before God sends more, He checks how you manage the little. Are you careless with your time, your energy, your money, your relationships? Are you blaming your circumstances, or are you mastering them? You cannot expect wealth to multiply in your hands if your hands still waste what they touch. Responsibility is not about status, it's about stewardship. It's about being intentional, consistent, and accountable, even when no one is keeping score. Because God is watching, not your excuses, but your effort, not your dreams, but your discipline. The test doesn't always come in the form of lack. Sometimes the test is hidden in the small, the ordinary, the overlooked. You're being asked to manage your current level like it already carries weight. If you can't manage a small paycheck, you won't manage a large one. If you can't lead yourself, you won't be trusted to lead others. The myth is that responsibility starts once success arrives. The truth is that success is attracted to responsibility already in motion. It's not about waiting until you feel important. It's about treating what's in front of you like it already matters. Because it does. Every level of responsibility you master becomes the foundation for the next level of blessing. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. Are you growing, learning, improving? Are you treating your life like something sacred, or are you waiting for some better moment to show up? You will never rise above what you refuse to take responsibility for, and God will never give increase where there is still immaturity. When you show that you can carry pressure without complaining, handle resources without wasting, and walk with purpose without being pushed, that's when doors open. Because wealth is not just given to those who ask. It's given to those who've proven they can carry it with both strength and wisdom. Rejection is one of the most misunderstood tests in the journey to wealth. Most people see it as a failure, a closed door, a personal attack. But in reality, rejection is often protection. It's a filter used by God to redirect you, to mature you, to prepare you. When something doesn't go your way, when people walk away, when opportunities dissolve right in front of you, it's not always the enemy. Sometimes it's divine intervention in disguise. God sees the things you don't. He sees the danger behind the deal you wanted. He sees the delay that would have destroyed you. And so he uses rejection not to punish you, but to reroute you toward something greater.
The emotional pain of rejection can feel heavy.
It can make you doubt your worth, question your vision, even reconsider your purpose. But that's where the test lies. Will you still move forward when your plans collapse? Will you keep your identity intact when someone else doesn't see your value? These moments don't define your future, but they do reveal your strength. Because if your confidence is tied to approval, then every no will shake you. But if your confidence is tied to purpose, no rejection can stop you. Rejection isn't a signal to quit. It's a challenge to rise higher without external validation. God uses rejection to strip you of dependency on people, platforms, and outcomes. He wants you anchored in something deeper than applause or access. The moment you stop needing everyone to believe in you is the moment you become unstoppable. The ones who are truly ready for wealth are those who can walk away from anything that doesn't align with their purpose, no matter how tempting it looks. And when you pass the test of rejection, you prove that your direction isn't decided by emotions or opinions. It's decided by vision, conviction, and faith. That's when doors begin to open that no man can shut, because you've shown that your identity isn't for sale, and your purpose isn't fragile. Loneliness is not a punishment, it is a purification. When you are called to something greater, separation often comes before elevation. You will be pulled away from the crowd, detached from the noise, and stripped of false comfort. Not because you're forgotten, but because you are being refined. God doesn't shape destiny in the presence of distractions. He does it in the silence of solitude. It's in the lonely places where clarity is sharpened, where inner strength is forged, and where you are forced to face who you truly are without the crutch of constant connection. Most people run from loneliness, but those who understand its power lean into it. The absence of people often makes room for the presence of purpose. When the applause fades and the phones stop ringing and you're left with just your thoughts, that's where the deepest transformation begins. In loneliness, there is no one left to impress, only truth left to confront. You begin to realize that peace is not found in being surrounded. It is found in being aligned. And sometimes God will isolate you to elevate you, not because you're being rejected, but because He's removing what no longer fits where you're going. Some people cannot go with you. Some mindsets cannot stay with you. And the separation is necessary for the blessing not to break you. But the test is whether you will become bitter in your isolation or better because of it. Will you fold under the weight of silence, or will you use that silence to build discipline, insight, and unshakable identity? Those who cannot handle solitude are not yet ready for the spotlight, because wealth and influence will only amplify what's already inside you. If you're empty in private, you'll be even more hollow in public. That's why loneliness isn't a delay, it's a gift. It's a spiritual invitation to deepen your roots before your branches can grow. And when you've passed this test, you won't just be ready to receive more. You'll be strong enough to carry it alone if necessary. Focus is the shield of destiny. Without it, your purpose will be pierced by 1,000 distractions. God doesn't test your intentions. He tests your ability to remain centered when everything around you demands your attention. In a world that pulls you in every direction, staying focused on the vision you were given is one of the highest forms of spiritual maturity. Not everything that calls your name deserves your energy. Not every opportunity is a divine assignment. The test is whether you can tune out the noise and stay loyal to what you said you wanted even after the excitement fades. Because wealth doesn't come to the easily entertained, it comes to the deeply committed. Distractions don't always look like danger. Sometimes they look like comfort. Sometimes they show up in the form of people, habits, or thoughts that feel good but pull you off course. And when God is preparing you for more, He will allow these distractions to appear, not to derail you, but to develop you. He wants to see if you can say no to what's good in order to protect what's great. Can you walk past temporary pleasures to preserve permanent purpose? Can you stay planted in discipline when every part of you wants to drift into ease? These are not small questions. They are the gateways to your next level. You don't lose focus because you're weak. You lose it when you forget why you started. That's why God allows storms and setbacks to strip away surface motives and expose your core. If your vision is not rooted in something deeper than emotion, you will give up when distractions rise. But if your focus is forged through prayer, purpose, and perseverance, nothing can shake it. That's what wealth demands, not just talent, but tunnel vision, a mind that refuses to bend, a soul that's locked in, a spirit that remembers what's at stake. When you pass the test of focus, you no longer chase every shiny thing. You become the kind of person who attracts everything that truly matters. Faith is not proven when everything is flowing. It's proven when nothing is. Anyone can speak of belief when life is abundant, when doors are open, when results are visible. But real faith, deep, unshakable faith, is revealed in lack. When the bank account is empty, when the opportunities dry up, when all you have is a vision and no evidence, that's when the test begins. God doesn't test your belief when you're full. He tests it when you're hungry, because how you behave in lack reveals whether your faith was real or just emotional hype. And if your confidence crumbles with your comfort, then it was never rooted in truth to begin with. Lack is not just an absence of resources, it's a mirror. It shows you where your mind really stands. Do you panic or do you plan? Do you give up or do you grow stronger? Those moments of insufficiency are not a punishment. They are training for responsibility, training for trust. If you cannot manage your thoughts, your energy, and your purpose during the storm, you will collapse under the weight of success when the skies clear. God will often strip everything away, not to break you, but to build something unshakable inside of you. When you have nothing left but faith, that's when you discover it was everything you ever needed. Most people waste their wilderness. They spend the season of lack complaining, doubting, quitting. But the ones who pass this test are the ones who walk through scarcity with the same strength they would carry in abundance. They speak life into dry places. They act with discipline even when there's no reward in sight. And they keep moving forward with the quiet conviction that what they carry inside is greater than what they lack outside. That is the faith God honors. That is the kind of heart He can trust with wealth, not just because it believes in blessings, but because it knows how to endure in the absence of them. When your faith thrives in lack, you prove that you're ready for overflow. Gratitude is the gateway to more. Not because saying thank you is a magical formula, but because it reveals the condition of your heart. God doesn't bless complaints. He blesses contentment. Before wealth arrives, you will be tested to see if you can remain thankful in the middle of lack, stress, and uncertainty. Most people wait until everything is perfect before they express gratitude. But those who understand divine principles give thanks before they see the outcome. Not because life is easy, but because their trust runs deep. Gratitude in the struggle is proof that your spirit is aligned with purpose, not just pleasure. It's easy to be grateful when life is giving. But the test is whether you can remain thankful when life is taking. When you're overlooked, underpaid, ignored, and unseen, do you still speak life? Do you still praise? Or do you fall into bitterness, comparison, and self-pity? These subtle shifts in attitude matter more than you think. God observes not just your actions, but the energy behind them. A heart filled with entitlement repels blessings. A heart filled with gratitude attracts them. Because gratitude shifts your perspective. It trains your eyes to see the hidden gifts, the lessons in pain, the blessings buried beneath difficulty. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means recognizing that even in hardship, you are being shaped for something greater. It means you choose to focus on what's working, on what's growing, on what's possible. That mindset is magnetic to increase. Because if you're not grateful for the little, you'll never be entrusted with the much. Wealth given to an ungrateful heart turns into waste. But wealth given to a thankful soul multiplies, blesses others, and honors its source. So if you're in a waiting season, in a stretching season, check your gratitude, not just in your words, but in your attitude. Because gratitude isn't just a response, it's a test. And when you pass it, you prove to God that you're not just ready to receive more, you're ready to respect it. The final test before true wealth is often detachment, not from ambition, but from attachment. God will always ask, can you walk away from it? Not because he doesn't want to give it to you, but because he wants to see if it owns you. If your identity is tied to what you want, then your soul is not yet free. And wealth, if placed into the hands of someone who is emotionally dependent on it, will not elevate, it will enslave. Detachment doesn't mean you stop desiring. It means you stop depending. It means your peace no longer comes from what you have, but from who you are becoming. So often we cling to outcomes, titles, relationships, positions, and possessions, hoping they will complete us. But God will test that need. He will remove what you're clinging to, not to punish you, but to purify you. The goal is to bring you to a place where if the deal falls through, you're still steady. If the door closes, you're still strong. If the people walk away, you're still anchored. That's when you're truly free. Because when your spirit is no longer enslaved by outcomes, nothing can control you. And only a free soul can be trusted with lasting abundance. The moment you become detached from the need to prove, the need to possess, and the need to impress, you become spiritually qualified for more. Detachment is power. It is knowing that you are whole with or without the thing you once thought you needed. That's when God can give it to you, because he knows it no longer defines you. You don't have to chase it anymore because you become the kind of person who attracts it naturally. You've let go, not in defeat, but in faith. And that surrender is what unlocks the kind of wealth that doesn't just bless your life, it overflows from it. Because now you're not driven by ego, you're led by purpose. And that is the kind of heart God can trust with overflow. When it finally comes, you'll realize it was never just about the wealth. It was about who you became on the way to it. The late nights, the hard lessons, the quiet seasons where you questioned everything, those weren't wasted. They were woven into your foundation. They made you strong enough to sustain what weaker versions of you would have fumbled. The blessing didn't show up when you wanted it to. It showed up when you were ready. And that readiness wasn't defined by your talent or ambition. It was proven by your character, your consistency, and your ability to keep going without seeing the finish line. This is why God tests before he trusts. Not because he needs to see if you want it, but because he needs to see if you can be trusted with it. Many ask for elevation, but few build the roots deep enough to sustain the weight of greatness. Many pray for abundance, but live in ways that repel it. The test exposes all of that. It exposes where you're still too attached, where you're still too impatient, where you're still relying on your own strength instead of surrendering to a greater process. If you're still in the testing season, take heart. You're not being forgotten, you're being forged. You're not being delayed, you're being developed. Keep your head down, keep your heart pure, keep your hands clean, keep your soul anchored. The reward is not just what you receive, but who you become through it all. And when the doors open, and they will, you'll walk through them not as someone who stumbled into a blessing, but as someone who was built for it. Because in the end, it's not the gift that proves your worth, it's the growth. The test was never about the wealth. It was about your ability to become the kind of person who didn't just receive it, but deserved it.